Hello, my name's Amanda. Welcome to my channel. I want to talk today about my journey with social media. And we all have our unique relationship with media. And I think that at the very least, we should all know what that relationship is and be in control and have our own guardianship of that relationship, whatever that looks like. So I used to be someone who was like a very hardcore scroller of social media. I would say Facebook was my go to thing, and we're talking probably 10 years ago now. And then later, Instagram. So I used to work as a paramedic. I was stuck in an ambulance station sometimes for hours and hours a day. And unless you brought a book and you were really disciplined, you were on your phone scrolling. And I would find that I felt very, very nasty and just kind of like lethargic and sometimes hard on myself after comparing myself with other people and trying to come up with, the next coolest thing to show off and brag about in my next post. And so my relationship with social media was kind of like, it was kind of just in control of me anytime I was idle. And it didn't make me feel good. And the version of myself that I would post on there would be like these very filtered photographs where I was wearing, like I just done my makeup and I was wearing this brand new outfit and I was trying to make it look like I had this most amazing life. And that was only one small part of my life. It was like, you know how it is. So I went to an ayahuasca ceremony in 2020. I think it was 2020, this one that I went to. And it was so interesting because there were 4 ceremonies during the retreat, and almost every one of them was dealing with social media, dealing with media and technology, and causing me to really address and confront this and see it in a more amplified way, seeing the energetics and the impulses behind what most of us just see as, something to do, something to scroll, something to fill our time with. And it was actually quite horrifying and frightening because if any of you guys have worked with psychedelics, plant medicines, you know that the psychedelics, plant medicines amplify whatever is. And it doesn't mean that what we're seeing is absolutely the truth for everybody and everyone's experience, but it's often the truth for us. What we need to see the most gets amplified. And so it was brought to my attention that that there was kind of these energetic controlling impulses that were in charge and kind of causing me to impulsively spend lots of time and even beyond time, which is precious, but my consciousness, my opinions, my opinion of myself, my view of myself was all starting to be molded and created by a society on the internet, the various social media channels that I was part of, and that I was losing my own autonomy, I was losing my own sovereignty, and I was losing the perspective of how I am seen by divinity, by goodness and love. And it was really graphic what I saw. One vision, I'll give you some examples. And it's always, very symbolic that what we see in these ceremonies. But I saw a little boy and he was on a phone and he was on social media and his mom came and his mom took the phone away from him. And when she did, he screamed out in pain and a part of his skull and brain cracked off and left with the phone when she walked away. And he was just writhing in pain. And it was showing me the connection that people have with social media and how the merging of this benevolent, loving freedom, the aspects of technology that are not giving us those things are what most of us are merging with. Those are the addictive and dopamine hitting parts. And I also had some visionary experiences where I could see technological kind of like little dots in the air. They were very mechanical. I don't know what you want to call them, but they were energetic and they were very associated with technology and the internet. And they were really trying to kind of get in my field of consciousness. They were kind of coming around my head, and it was like they wanted to stick to my field. They were very sticky. And I remember in the ceremony having to like really clear my field over and over and intend to have space and sovereignty and not be kind of like have these energetic parasites stick to me. And I knew that it was very obvious that they were very related to the internet and social media and my relationship with those impulses and forces. And by the end of the week, I was just exhausted. I was like, holy crap. Like, I've never understood the spiritual and energetic aspects to my relationship with the internet and social media until this retreat. So, right after the retreat, I was very motivated to make a change. I deactivated my Facebook account and I deactivated Instagram, and I wasn't able to do it overnight. I actually, after a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to do this. And I reactivated my account. It was one or the other. I reactivated one of those social media accounts. And then as soon as I was back in, I felt this whoosh. You're very sensitive after using plant medicine, sometimes for a few weeks. So I was like, I was still sensitive to feel this like heavy, kind of like oppressive feeling as soon as I was back on there. So it took a few back and forths of activating and deactivating for me to like finally make that change and integrate that message. And since then, I I haven't gone back. I want to be really clear. Like, I don't think social media or the internet is an evil place, but I do believe that most of us are not advanced and mature enough spiritually and psychologically to have a healthy relationship with it. And I know that I wasn't. Maybe some people are, but I definitely wasn't. My relationship with it was very oppressive. And yet the internet's an amazing tool. Like, we're communicating in this moment over YouTube. And so that's my story about my unique relationship with that and how it's evolved. And working with psychedelics in a therapeutic sense has shown me kind of the impulses and energetics behind things that we're in relationship with, whether it's people, whether it's technologies, whether it's the earth, whatever. When you go in with an intention to see the truth behind something that you're dealing with in a psychedelic ceremony, you're showed it in an amplified way so that you get the message. And if there are changes that need to be made and understandings that need to be taken away, you can't unsee what you've seen. And your relationship to those things has to change. To be completely honest, our eyes have seen too much. Our eyes have seen too much. For thousands and thousands of years, we were only seeing what was in front of us. We were only seeing what was going on in this moment, in our environment with people that we were connected to. And not only do we still have that, we have a screen that is connecting us with people and situations all across the world, many of them violent or many of them heartbreaking, and we're bombarding ourselves with viewing and bringing into our awareness, bringing into our eyes too much. And our delicate nervous system, so many people want to do nervous system healing and they want to heal their emotional body, but yet they're not removing the too much that their eyes are seeing. They're not removing the things that are really not natural and healthy. And our eyes have seen too much. I want to read you something that was really powerful from the fabulous Joshua Michael Schrey. I'm going to link his podcast, Guardians and Protectors, into the comments because it's pretty awesome. He says, "The eyes of the seer. Can you wash from my eyes all the things that I never should have seen?" This is his prayer. "Matron saint of afflicted eyes, have mercy on the world of tired eyes. Build a fire, communicate with the astral beings, stare at the tip of a flame until your eyes tear up, reminding your eyes of what it means to be connected to the real fire element, spirit." The fire element is to do with spirit. "And make sure our eyes only see what is holy to be seen, what motivates us to expose our eyes to too much." Exposing ourselves in order to stay current is necessary, but I'm making out a call for quality over quantity here. And It's not necessary to vulnerably open your brain to a steady stream of violence, exposing yourself to the emotional shock of horrifying and nonsensical imagery in a continuous, unpredictable stream. This is deeply damaging. And I'm going to take a step further and say that a lot of things that we see aren't even real. We're going to be emerging ourselves on the cusp now of the world of AI holograms. We've already started to see a little bit of that. And messages and information and stories from non-human sources. Images, characters, speech coming from the world of AI, which is deeply connected in many ways to the lower astral plane or the eighth sphere. And our children, who have absolutely no idea the difference between sometimes reality and fantasy and imaginary world, are on the front lines. And so if we think that we have to use our personal guardianship and protectorship over ourselves, just imagine them. So as we move into this new age of AI and technology and mega amounts of information, I mean, there are people that want to implant chips into their brains to kind of even bring more of it without filter, into their field and their reality. We have to make our choices and choose what our ears are hearing, what our eyes are seeing. And when we are struggling, if we are struggling with nervous system regulation, when we are struggling with anxiety, we have to be honest with ourselves and take responsibility for what are our eyes seeing. And the social media world, again, has lots of inspirations. And I don't deny that there are so many inspiring stories and amazing teachings and, encouraging quotes and all that kind of stuff out there. But the issue is, as somebody is scrolling and maybe looking at one of those great things, the next thing that they might scroll into is something that is dark in one way or another, that triggers insecurity, that triggers comparison or the drive to compete and one up somebody else or to show off. And that is what it is. It's a mixed bag. And so I want to just remind us, as I remind myself, what are our eyes seeing? Our eyes have seen too much. And to the people who are struggling with anxiety and nervous system regulation, to get really curious about your relationship to social media and the internet, and get curious to your relationship with the world around you. How has the relationship to nature and humans dropped in favor of the relationship to the screen and to what we're exposing our eyes to? And I know that both men and women are highly affected by that social media monster of comparison. And in a world of artificial, in a world of filters, in a world of what you see is probably not real, a deeper part of our soul, if we are on a spiritual path, is calling us to step forward and lead with sincerity, with genuine nature, with truth in the face of holograms, in the face of artificialness, in the face of personas and masks and filters. You don't need to use filters and wear makeup. If you are just wanting to be yourself, it's totally okay. And there's a relief, for me at least, there's a relief that comes from stepping out of that race, from stepping out of chasing some type of status based on these fleeting things, based on the fleeting nature of success from a worldly standpoint, beauty from a worldly standpoint, These things are not feeding our souls. And when we have them, there's, to be honest, a deep fear of, who will I be if I lose this thing? And as we let go of our grip, of identifying ourselves from that standpoint, as we let go of our grip of needing to fill our eyes with images that really have nothing to do with our personal life and our personal path, we find water. We find relief. Behind all of those things, there is such a relief. And that's when the soul can step forward. That's when our true nature and our true loves and our true self can find some space. We're in a really difficult time with all of these things. And so our relationship with the internet, our relationship with social media, as people who are moving into sincerity and authenticness, these are things that are going to come up for us. These are things that are going to come up for us. Thank you so much for watching and liking and commenting, and journey well.